Welcome back, y'all. Street Academy Podcast, where we keep 1 foot in the academy and 1 foot in the streets. We are here. We're here. Yo, as you can see, this is a special episode we got going on. This is going to be a really, really good conversation that is super poignant right now. Of course, we have one of our co-hosts. They are not here, so shout out to Amber K. Beasy, Amber Camila. Got some things going on, but she definitely sends her love. She said, yo, I'm definitely coming back, but got to take care of some things, so it's all good. So we definitely send her love and our support in that way. So everything good, Dr. Hader?
Listen, we're just out here.
Yeah.
I'm loving what we're doing, you know. We miss Amber. Can't wait to have her back.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, you know, we're going to bring some friends in.
Yeah.
They're going to go.
Yeah.
You know, say a little bit about the topic.
Okay.
We're going to chop it up like we always do.
No doubt. We're going to blend the righteous and the ratchet. That's what we do then. That's what we do. Shout out real quick before we get started with everything. Shout out to my boy Sean Craig behind the scenes, handling business, making sure y'all see all the lights, and we got a couple cameras going. We got microphones going. So this is a man. Listen, it's mad official around here. So yeah, shout out to Sean for this. I know I'm my own big, so I hope y'all watch this episode. I hope we get a lot of views, because we gonna owe him for this one, for real. Shaking his head, yeah, nigga. You gonna owe me for this. But really, we have another guest coming on soon. But we want to show a lot of love for this person. Let me tell you, man, I wish I had the time. It'll take the whole episode just to run down her resume. For real, like just to run down her resume. That's a two-part series. That's the whole season right there. I don't even have the time, yo. But I got to do it justice, yo. This is my friend, my sister. I love her to no end. She is a lawyer, a professor, a mentor, a dancer, a scholar, a musician. She ratchet, she righteous. She'll pray for you, and then she'll throw these balls on you if necessary at the same time. Or maybe I shouldn't say all this, because I know you got a couple things on the pipeline coming up with your career, so we're going to make sure this don't get out. Nah, I'm just playing. For anybody out there in the career world, in the legal field, she's a wonderful, beautiful person. She's never... Right, we ain't got to do that, because her resume cold. Anyway, I'm just talking about, honestly, one of the most accomplished people that I've ever met in my entire... I don't think I've ever met anybody as accomplished as this sister. And I mean, we could go down the line, Ivy League, just done amazing stuff, but better than that, just an activist. She love her people. She's always about educating. She was super busy, but as soon as I said, listen, this for the people, this for getting this information out about voting, this for us being informed and empowered about the political process, she was like, all right, John, all right, I could do it, because it's like, it's for us, like, that's for real, like, that's the type of person she is. So I want to show mad love, so much appreciation to my friend, my sister, Dr. Audra Savage. So just say something to the folks.
That's too much. Too much. All I had to say was that she's cute and she loves Jesus. That's good.
She's cute and she loves Jesus. That's it. Man.
No, it's a pleasure to be here with y'all.
Thank you so much. And we're gonna have another guest come on soon in a minute. But for right now, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So this election, listen, it's a very controversial election. A lot is at stake. And this is actually a conversation that we've had just between us. We got a whole group chat going on, and just between us, you know, we all have been involved in the political process and civic engagement in our own ways. And a lot of people have become disenchanted, honestly, with the voting process, and especially with Trump being elected, with, you know, and we just gonna say it, with Governor Kemp still in that election, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, people just like, why should I vote for real? Like, you keep telling me, yeah, our ancestors died for it, blah, 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 but they died for the choice. They died for the right, and a right means you can do it or not. You have the right to bear arms, but you don't have to get a gun. You have the right to vote, but you don't have to vote. And so, you know, I mean, people are upset. So why, honestly, before we even get into who's running on the federal, local level, before we get into all the nuances, why should we vote? If we should. And we all kind of have different opinions on that. So I would like for us to start there, and then we'll go into some other stuff. So whoever just want to take that.
Well, you know, I'll just say, and, you know, there was a time when I would just say our ancestors died for the right, and therefore we have to exercise it. If for no other reason, to your point, John, that, you know, we have to honor our legacy. We have to honor our foremothers, our forefathers, thinking about our foremothers that Jackie has that right there on her shirt, reminding us. But you're right, it is deeper than that, right? Because if you feel disenchanted and disenfranchised, if you feel like it doesn't matter, then saying it's for the people, it doesn't resonate, right? Because if the people are still suffering, if we still have, what we feel, we have a foot on our neck, then it's like, what's the point? And I would just try to make it more practical. You know, we're in Atlanta, and our potholes are ridiculous, right? Our schools are overcrowded. You know, that's the right why we vote. We get so caught up in a presidency, and it's important, and I'll speak to that in a second, and it's important for sure, but it's really down to the local level. You know, do you want trash every week? Well then, yeah, let's vote to make sure we get people in power who can organize and pick up trash every week for us. Like, it's just that simple, right? If we want to have a functioning society where all of us can at least thrive or have the opportunity to thrive and flourish, then that's why we have to vote. And the presidency is so important because as a lawyer, you know, I hear people say, oh, it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Clinton or if it's Trump or Biden or whatever. And I would say that if you care about your rights, your civil rights, the reason you care about the presidency, because the president is the one who dominates those for the Supreme Court. And at this time, you know, we're in the middle of this battle over the seat left by the passing of Justice Ginsburg, which was kicked off by the battle over the death of Justice Scalia, right? And so when we think about our LGBTQ brothers and sisters and their ability to marry, just like I would have to marry as a straight woman, I have the right to marry. When we think about that, their ability to marry was because of the Supreme Court that said that they have that right, right? They have the right to privacy. Well, who put it in the Supreme Court? Us, the president. And so down to just us being able to rap and have this like free speech that we have here, that's protected by the Supreme Court, or not.
Correct.
Right? And so I hear what people are saying, but if we want better people, we have to vote them in.
Okay.
And if nothing else, you know, Derek Bell, the scholar Derek Bell would say, he had a story, and it's like, you know, why fight against racism? You know, racism is always going to be with us. It's part of who we are as Americans. And his story is an old lady and says, yeah, but make it hard for them. You know? And if nothing else, then vote just to make it hard for them, and just to show up and say that you're here and that you're present and you will not be ignored.
That's a good point. Good point.
Man, I feel like I'm gonna say some things that are, you know, maybe a little unpopular with our group. 'Cause, you know, I sit a little bit in a different place as far as how I relate to voting. One, you know, when I think about voting, I'm not discouraging anyone from voting.
Right.
And in fact, I had some really complicated feelings about whether or not I wanted to participate in the voting process this year. And so when people, particularly Black people, say to me, essentially, we've lived in this country for 400 years, and for 400 years, this country has disappointed us politically and legally. Why should I give it a 401st chance? I'm like, that's a fair question.
That's a fair question. Yeah.
Answer for that.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
So, you know, that's one
Mm.
thing I think about.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I feel like, and I'm kind of more on your end, and again, and not to say that, not to diss those who vote. Yeah, I plan on voting, right? I plan on voting. I've been voting. I voted in, almost every. I mean, the big sexy elections and the smaller ones that a lot of people look over. Not just black people, because I've talked to those polling people and they say, don't nobody come vote. We ain't no just black people, white people, Latinx people. Don't nobody come out and vote. And the ones that aren't as popular, right? So let's just put that in there, because we're gonna talk about all of the research around why black people don't vote. We need to, and the reality around it, right? But again, at the same time, I kind of do agree with you, right? In that, not just in addition to the historical disenfranchisement of black people, but also the fact that, when we do try to vote, the voter disenfranchisement is so large. It really is just like right after Reconstruction. It's just like the poll, test and the literacy test. It's like you make it so difficult. People got to stand in line for hours and hours. The machines on the black side of Atlanta wasn't working as well as the machines on the white side, and that's what happened with a lot of those votes in the governor race. So the voter disenfranchisement is so large that it's like, even if I go vote, even if I go through all this to go vote, I don't even know if my vote is going to count. You see what I'm saying? But then again, I do. So I see where you coming from with that. But again, what you were saying, Audra, with on the local level, it does make a difference. If it wasn't for all those people voting, we would not have a Keisha Lance Bottoms as mayor. We would not have a black woman mayor. If it wasn't for a lot of those folks that came out, because I think she only won by like a couple hundred votes, if I'm not mistaken. It was really close.
Like, I might be a prophet, give you my prophet cred.
Okay.
That's true. But I think that Keisha's going to be Atlanta's last black mayor for a while.
Yeah, I said that too. I think she might be the last one though, because we got to.
For done.
Yeah, I think so. I hope. I don't want it to be that way, but I think so.
Yeah.
I think she might be the last one. So, but there are places. Same way with Alabama. What was the dude name that the black woman saved? Doug Collins. Was that him? Okay. Oh, get that. Right. Doug Collins. Okay. So that was important, right? Had it not been for that, we would have a pedophile in the Senate.
Well, we have a pedophile in the White House.
Well, preach.
Sexual assaulter.
He done did some pedophilia stuff too. Yeah, I done seen the interviews.
What's the one that allegedly died by suicide in jail?
Oh yeah, that was his homeboy.
Yeah.
Definitely, I've seen.
Yeah, that was his homeboy. Yeah, that was.
All kinds of allegations.
Yeah. So that's my part too. Again, I plan on voting. I push voting, but at the same time, I'm slowly but surely, very much like Du Bois, feeling like I'd rather put my time somewhere. I'm just being honest. That's just how I'm feeling right now. I could be wrong, but I'm just being honest.
Well, I have to jump.
Of
because
course.
I got to go to the next level.
I know.
Something else. But, I hear what y'all are saying, and I don't have an easy answer.
Right.
Right? Because if they've been on a neck for 401 years, what's going to change? And I will just leave what I said earlier, in that just don't make it hard for them.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't make it hard for them.
Right.
And it's not, again, not just the presidency, and it's not just the national level or the sexy contest. Right? But educate ourselves about who's going to be sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the sheriff that directs the police that will stop or not stop driving while black, right? And driving people while they're black.
That's true.
Right? And so let's look at the sheriff. Let's look at the superintendent.
Yeah.
Those are people who are going to vote on the curriculum, vote on the structure of our schools.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who are going to vote on whether or not they have textbooks that say that black people were voluntary workers or guest workers in our country, right? And who are going to just skip by slavery. Well, those are people who vote on the books that teach our children that.
Right.
And so, don't make it hard for them, if nothing else.
Right. That's true. I could definitely understand that. So, again, if you're watching this, again, we're just having an open conversation about it, but or listening to it. For all those who don't know, Street Academy Podcast, we everywhere around it. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna be everywhere. It's my next stop.
I told y'all she a busy person. She be rolling, so I'm just glad. I'm just glad we got a few minutes.
It's so good to think about voting, think about politics, and just let this be over soon.
Yes.
And I hope that. One way or the other. When Bush versus Gore happened in 2000,
right.
One of the things that I took pride in, or I took solace in, was that we had a natural, peaceful transition of power.
That's true.
Because we had a constitution, people were abiding by it.
Right.
And I don't have that hope now, regardless of the outcome, right? Because that's how bad it is. That our rule of law, our system of governance, things we took for granted before.
Right.
We're on the cusp of having the United Nations have to come in and observe our elections.
Wow, right? I didn't even know that.
No, not literally.
I mean, but
think about it. Like that's what we do to other countries.
Yeah.
Right. UN observers to make sure they have a nice, peaceful transition of power, that they have a legitimate election. Well, I feel like we're there. We don't even have legitimate elections. Right. We don't even have, and we're now scared about a peaceful transition of power. And so, again, I just leave with don't make it hard, and use our voice as our agency. And with that, I love y'all.
Thank you so much. So.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Where are you going?
Well, now come look. This is how we do Street Academy Podcast. It's real. It's real out here. We keeping it real. Yeah. She got a bounce, but she dropped a lot of heavy knowledge on us. So we replacing one guest with another guest. Another just as amazing guest right here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Savage. We appreciate you. She got a lot going on. But hopefully after your schedule eases up, we could get you on a full thing. Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. A post-election wrap-up. I love it. Peace. Most definitely. How we looking on Sam? We good? Because I know Jack, she's not really on the mic like that. Is that all right though? But then I don't want her to. Yeah.
Huh? No, you can pull it up.
Knock over that camera though either. So I just want to make sure.
So what did I miss?
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, we're getting ready to go into at this point who we're voting for. So. So we already talked about why we should vote, and so now we're going into who should we vote, who's on the ballot, and talk about those people. So we'll start with the president, and then we'll go down to the Senate races and Congress race, and all of that. So how we looking?
I should be looking pretty good. Hey, Sean, are we getting on both? Are we getting on both audio on both sides?
So there's a lag.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in about 20 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see if we're getting.
But it sounds.
Whatever you just did, I have to wait 20 seconds for it. That's how live works.
Yeah. I know.
No, but check it to see if it's getting like if you're getting stereo.
Yeah.
Oh man, so what's going on? What did I miss? I mean,
we still streaming, we still videotaping. Cool. All right, so let me introduce this brother right here. Another really, really good friend.
Don't size it, boss.
Really good friend of the podcast.
Don't size it.
Amazing.
Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble.
You're seated, but there's no reason to be humble.
Sit down and be humble. I don't know. I'm about to go back to my den.
What can't he do? I'm talking about this brother is a musician. If you ever heard him sing, whether you are a guy, whether you are a sister, you just feel something. Whether it don't matter how you identify, you just be like, why do I feel something in my spirit when this brother, right? I just feel woozy. Like I don't feel very masculine.
If I was tuned into the show, I would not vote. I would cancel my vote. This is the worst voting show I've seen in my life.
But then not only that, he is a technological genius. He's a web software developed person that do stuff for big Fortune 500.
Don't try to buy a car from this guy. He will sell you on a lemon. You'll be driving out 5 minutes.
I mean,
out of the muffler.
Let the people judge.
Right. We're gonna let the people judge.
You will not pass.
Don't worry about it. Just
You will not
Google his
pass
name.
the,
Google his name. Stephen Attitude.
The admissions test. You will not pass the admissions test.
Last name.
It will look nicely painted.
ADE.
He will sell you on
TUNDE.
it. He will sell you on a lemon. Trust me.
Give it up for my man, Stephen Attitude. Thanks for being here, big bro.
It's good to be here.
We appreciate you,
Good
man.
to be here,
Talking
good to be
about,
here.
He's also a political pundit, man. We have great discussions, man, about politics.
I am a pundit. That much. I can own up to that.
He knows a lot about. Like, I'm really surprised he didn't go into political science. Like,
Did you watch the simultaneous town halls?
The simultaneous. Now, you know what? Actually, I clocked out for that.
Okay.
I just watched the highlights. I really, the only highlights was like the Trump ones, like just how he was, because it's just like Biden is just going to be, it's just going to be boring, right? Like he's just going to talk about how to run things competently,
Right.
and there's no, I was just looking for some, for some popcorn, for some juice. So I saw the highlights of a few of the some of Trump's joint, and
yeah.
and that was it.
Okay.
I had to. The brother was looking for the bag
Yeah.
around the same time that was going on.
I had to do my thing.
It was running. It was
know
running
what I'm
from me.
saying?
I had to.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad.
Find it wherever it may be.
I'm not mad. So listen, very similar to what Dr. Savage just told us, man. While the presidential part is the sexy part, that's what kind of brings everybody out. There's a lot of people on that ballot, and there's a lot at stake, and that's one of the things we were talking about. There's a lot at stake. So I mean, let's really just go ahead and go down the list. Who are you voting for and why? Because and the reason why I want to do this is because a lot of times in politics, people like to keep this stuff a secret, and I think white folks can afford to do that because they don't have as much to lose. But I don't think, as this is my opinion, I don't think as black people we can afford to be silent about who we're voting for and why. Especially because a lot of times black people vote, and for many of us, we vote and may not know why we're voting for certain people. And so we might just vote Democrat down. But now we're at a place where that's not, I don't know if that's healthy for us. I don't think we can be beholden to one party anymore because we see that doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
I feel conflicted by that.
Okay.
Only because the Republican Party has become so polarized, so coalesced around Trump, that folks who are Republican, I feel like I can very safely say, y'all are gonna be, if you don't want to do wild things, you're at least gonna support the wildest stuff, the most anti-black stuff possible.
Right.
So this might be the very first time that if someone asks me, because people might ask me like, oh, who are you voting for? And who should I vote for? I might say to them, go straight down.
Democrat down.
Go down the ticket. Like just don't vote. Just don't vote for Republican.
Right.
Just at this point.
Okay.
I feel here in 2020, I feel most comfortable since I've been voting by giving that advice. If someone were to, my 2 cents is about 0.2 cents. If someone were to ask me for my 0.2 cents, that's what I would say.
I mean, I guess now looking at where we are, and historically, Killer Mike, if you haven't watched that Killer Mike interview on the Breakfast Club, it was really, I liked it. It was really,
What did he say? Because I know he said something controversial.
all right, y'all watch it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I said I wasn't, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. But please watch it to get the context. Don't take this and run with it and say Killer Mike is this or whatever. Because I'm still very much a Killer Mike fan. And I rock with this brother. He got a couple things, tweaks just like everybody. But for the most part, I'm Killer Mike all the way. Honestly, though, I would not be surprised if he voted for Trump.
That's what I heard.
Again, but listen in context. That's why I didn't want to say it, because if I say it, everybody going to run with it. I didn't want to say
Yo, I just need to take a quick nap. Is that okay?
You got to listen in
I need to take a
context,
nap.
though.
I don't know what context could justify.
No, you got to hear it. You got. Now, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying that he didn't say he was going to vote for Trump.
But he didn't say that he's not.
He did what he said was you got that's why I didn't want to say it cuz people hear Trump and they just it's like you got to listen to but essentially what he's saying is he didn't say he was going to
I'm going to need a hearing aid to listen to this.
But what he did
whatever's in Biden's ear, that's what I need to hear this. Oh Lord. Wow.
One of the things he said that made me I'm not voting for Trump, that's for sure. But one of the things he said though was when we look at historically how things have gotten done for black people. And he brought this up. This was so interesting to me. He said when Dr. King was going to John F. Kennedy for that civil rights bill, they had been going to try to get that civil rights bill for years, since the 50s, right? Eisenhower wasn't about to pass it, and John F. Kennedy didn't want to pass it. And him and King was cool. I'm talking about Kennedy could call his house, like in 60, 61, 62, right? Like he could call his house. They were cool, and John F. Kennedy was not trying to pass that civil rights bill. And he got murdered. Everything started happening with the country, and Lyndon B. Johnson now becomes president. Lyndon B. Johnson was a known racist. Dixie, Texas. I think he was from Texas. Texas boy, racist all the way. I mean, he would say nigga like it just rolled off his tongue. And he was the one that passed the Civil Rights Bill, the Voting Rights Act,
all the stuff.
and
The housing.
and the
He passed the housing.
Well, did he pass it or did your boy Nixon do that?
No, that was he passed it. He passed it the very week after Martin Luther King died. Actually, he pushed it.
Okay. The Fair Housing Act, and he was the one that started the Great Society programs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like it. So and what Killer Mike was saying was it shouldn't matter who's in office if we're doing what we're supposed to. Sometimes you can get the best stuff from the worst person, right? Because it is about how you leverage your interests. He tried to get it through John F. Kennedy, who was the liberal. That didn't work. He ended up getting it through the worst person.
No.
You remember back in like 7th, 8th grade when you were doing like long division, like word problems, and then you,
Go for it, Jackie.
You put like 2 plus 2 and you had 5, and then you continued on and you ended up getting the wrong answer and you got partial credit.
Yes. Thank you. You can't put any better than that. That's the best way of putting it. Like he did a long. It was good intentions. It was good intentions, but he got that one. He forgot to put the decimal point. What? He didn't carry over. Oh my goodness.
Okay, all right. So so where's the disconnect? Where's the challenge with that? Again, not to say we supporting Trump, but it's just to say instead of focusing on having this person or that person in office, leveraging what you have, so no matter who's in office, you can get what you want to accomplish.
But you have to understand, if you're asking me, right? If I'm asking me,
absolutely.
You have to understand power dynamics, and you have to understand incentive structures to understand why Lyndon B. Johnson was so effective for much of the black agenda, and that was because much of his agenda, especially overseas, like he wanted to have America was kind of battling with Russia, and they wanted to, and they were doing Lyndon B. Johnson is also the guy who started with Vietnam, right? Mm-hmm. So with all of that,
I think they was in Vietnam before, but it was like
it ratcheted up all that stuff, right?
Yeah. It started
so in order for him to do that, he needed, and for all of the whole foreign policy, just sort of the whole foreign policy thrust of America at that time, it depended on this sort of moral justification, this sort of moral, like there was a moral high standing that they had to have to be able to say, we're going to assert ourselves in this way because we're the good guys.
I see what you're
saying.
Right?
And
so we have to be that example in order to show.
And he wanted to say, hey, look, there's all these pressure that King and all these guys are putting on them. And he was building, and then again, the coalition of the Democratic Party also depended on black people too.
True.
So all of those things were incentives that were motivators for him to say, let's fix this the right way.
Right.
But what happens when Nixon comes in there?
Right.
what does he do? He just,
It-
he just, I'm just gonna just shoot y'all.
Right.
And it's like, here's a problem. Oh, I'll just throw him in jail and shoot him. Right? You see what I'm saying? Because the incentive structure wasn't the same for Lyndon B. Johnson as it was for Nixon.
That's true.
So all of those things, you've got to. It's not just. I mean, there's bad, but there's degrees. We got to understand that there's scale. You know, things can be bad, but then there's another another level behind that. And for Donald Trump, his incentive structure does not have black people. In fact, when he does black outreach, he's not even talking to black people. He's trying to show that he's trying to appease people who are supporting him to let them know that, hey, look, I'm not as bad or as racist as you think. That's all he needs. And then all he wants to do is saying, all right, I'm not as bad or as racist as you think, and he's reaching his base, and then in the middle, what he's trying to do is trying to say, all right, I'm not gonna, y'all can see how low I'm reaching. I'm just gonna try to drag the other side down, and I want riots. I want y'all acting a fool because it makes you more scared of them than it is of me. And so us being protesting and all that doesn't mean that's perfect for Trump. He likes us being riled up because it's good for. Kellyanne Conway said it. He's like, when the things are burning down, this is good for us. So his incentive structure is the exact opposite of our intent. And for the Democratic Party, even though the Democratic Party, as it stands, is not going to be down with all the things that we need for what Black America needs right now. But the Democratic Party cannot win without the black vote. Who put the nominee in there that's there right now?
That's true.
Who did he have to go talk to? And the people who didn't go talk to us, they're not in there. You have to come talk to our community in order to get inside the door in the Democratic Party. So that
But you can come talk
leverage.
to us, but then what are you giving us? That's why you wanted to talk about Ice Cube. But Ice Cube is like, okay, well, then in that case, yeah, you came and talked to us. Yeah, you came and got the vote out of South Carolina, Joe Biden. But now with this plan, right, Trump came up with this platinum plan. Well, he didn't come up with it, but now he's proposing this platinum plan. By the way, I do think it's BS. I'm just being honest.
I mean, and he's talking about everything.
Yeah, he just it was just he got somebody to find out everything black people want and just put it in his proposal.
A few weeks before the
Right. So I don't believe it. Right. That like that's all it is. But at the same time, the idea of I'm willing to go to multiple parties. I'm willing to go to multiple leaders. I'm willing to go to anybody who's on this political spectrum in America and say, if we're able to negotiate a deal for my people, then you got my support. I like that line of thinking. And not being beholden to one particular party, because as we can see, since black folks shifted to being, mostly Democrat since the 1970s, what has really been happening with our people since then? When you talk about deindustrialization, when you talk about the rise of concentrated poverty, it's been worse since before when we was voting Republican with King. Again, not saying we should go vote Republican because there's a whole historical context around that. But what I'm saying is we need to open up our ideas, even outside of the two-party system, and look at working with all these parties and figuring out what can we put together to create something for our people.
I think.
No, I was just gonna say, like, that's even a complicated sentiment because there's so much backlash now against people who tried to get third party in 2016. Like even now, I still hear like, oh, you people who voted third party in 2016.
I'm part of those. I am people.
We talked about that.
So,
I ain't scared to vote third party. Matter of fact,
Oh
there's
my
one
God.
on here I want to vote for.
Oh, hey, look, I've split my ticket. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, I think we're in interesting times, and so interesting times calls for, interesting devotion to the Democratic Party, at least with the voting.
Really?
That's what I'm saying. Because look, here's what I'm saying about the third party thing. I don't think we need to get hung up on the parties. We need to get hung up on power and leverage. That's what we have to look at. Who can we leverage? Just forget about the parties. Who can we? Who are you better to get a favor from? Somebody who owes you money or someone you owe money to? Who?
What does
Sean got a testimony.
there.
Sean, come and give your testimony. Sean, testimony time. He was like,
You sound like somebody owes him some money.
you want to pull a tambourine out. Praise break.
Right. right. He felt the spirit with that one. He felt the spirit. Listen, but I guess for me the reason why third party should be an option is because you can have the metaphor that you just gave or the question that you just posed is good, but then what about somebody who is up and coming that needs your support, that needs everything that you bring? And you can tell a libertarian, you can tell an independent, you can tell a Green Party, hey, you can have, or I can bring to you this voting block, I could bring to you this support as you're up and coming, as your party is up and coming, and maybe we can work it that way as opposed to only just dealing with these two parties.
Well, I mean, you understand how entrenched, some of us don't understand how entrenched the Democratic Party is in the black community. You look at the places like South Carolina,
I mean, I'm not saying
Alabama,
it's easy, but
I'm just saying that the Democratic Party is just the community leaders. It's not even like, it's just like these are the leaders of the community that are the Democratic Party. Right? So it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard to get. So I'm saying that if we want a suggestion of how we can get to more third party situations is to work with the people who owe us money. The Democratic Party for right now, they're the people who owe us money, and try to get as part of their platform ranked voting. Open up the spigot when it comes to voting access, right? Because there's so many things, there's so many impediments to voting. So now, once we can leverage and get that, now we open up now we have some room, right? Because when you're in a situation where it's like you barely have enough to get over the border, and then you give that thing away to someone else, what's going to happen? Let's just kind of like see this out. Let's just map it out, right? Let's say a large chunk. Let's say we divide the black vote, right? One goes third party, the other one goes Democratic Party. At least right now, right? And I'm saying this in this particular context because I'm someone who split my ticket in the past. I voted for Republican, I voted for Independents, right? So I'm saying right now with a Republican Party that, in my opinion, is dangerous. Yeah. Dangerous, right? So right now we split it. What happens? All right, so so automatically Democrats lose. They cannot win without the black vote. So they're done, right? So now Republicans come in there, they win. What's going to happen next time Democrats run? They're going to say, okay, last time we tried to get the black vote, but we didn't get them. Yeah, so I thought about that. They're split, divided. What we need to get is some more of this middle America, because that's who we're going to need to win. So they're going to try to cannibalize more middle America. So they're going to get
as opposed to trying to get us.
And that's why we had Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was literally the same gambit. It's like, okay, we can't win with just multicultural. We got to get some of that, Ronald Reagan vote, get some of those people from the South. And that's the reason why they have it, because the incentive is just not there for them to go after the black vote because we're unreliable.
I like how you're breaking that down because I think it kind of speaks to the sort of political strategy that I observe on the national scale from the Democratic Party. I don't see, when I think of black voters who support Biden or don't support Biden, and I'm not even talking about black voters who support Biden versus support Trump. I'm talking about black voters who either support Biden and want to vote for him and go down to the polls, or voters who are like, I don't really like
I don't want to go.
I'm not voting for anybody.
Right.
Or maybe I'm a vote third party. But I see a lot of the engagement around that middle America, like white folks, like we're trying to get the support of them, as opposed to really supporting policies that black folks, particularly younger black folks, millennials, etc., are more interested in a presidential candidate.
Right.
So what is your takeaway from that reality?
That they're making a choice because you have the moderate voters who don't want to see all this super progressive, radical politics happening. We don't believe that black folks need to have abolished police,
universal health care, all that other kind of universal basic income. Too progressive, yeah.
We want to have whatever we have now, and that's it. Like we don't need nothing extra. So there's like a conflict. Like the candidate has to decide: am I gonna go all in for black people, or am I gonna, take black people for granted and really work toward building a platform that middle Americans can support? And from what I can see, we have the most middle of the road Democratic candidate
But why do we have that? That's the question that I have. Why do we have middle of the road a candidate when black people are the ones that put that candidate in there?
I feel like I didn't really recognize this until recently, but I think black folks are very interested in this particular election in voting some of their class interests.
Class interests, yeah.
And I think some of what I see is that this particular presidency has challenged the comfortability of the black middle class in ways that we have never seen. Well,
Yes, that's a great
That's a
point.
good point.
Excellent
let me
point.
not say that we've never seen, but I'm at least talking about our
It's
generation.
without
Yeah.
precedent in our generation for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good
We
point.
haven't been on Earth for,
Yeah.
60,
Yeah.
70
Yeah.
years.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, I'm in academia, and of course, one of the most recent things has been this executive order that challenges critical race theory. And
Yeah.
all
Oh my
sorts
God.
of,
Wow.
Diversity programs and stuff like that, yeah.
Tell me at what point has a black professor felt uncomfortable or a little shaky in their position based on some presidential action?
That's a great point.
So,
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
so I'm like, there are a lot of black folks who are probably voting their class interests because their class position that usually shields them from some of these like racist things that happen is being challenged. Middle class black person, they're not at risk for going to jail for 20, 30 years. A middle class black person,
They think they're not.
to school with a lawyer. You went to school with 50 lawyers. You could text someone right now and be like, hey, I'm in jail, come, put me in front of the judge that I went to school with. Middle class black folks, you might be the lawyer. Uncle Phil, who had to go down and get Will and Carl.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Biden is a class interest vote that crosses that generational line.
So, go ahead.
Oh, well, so actually what I was going to do was I was going to transition us because now that we're talking about the way in which class complicates the voting not just voting participation, but the voting interests of black people, not just on the federal level, but also on the state and on the local level, right? So if that's the case, how does this complicate it even more when we start voting for senators, when we start voting for Congress people, when we start going into all the people that are actually on the ballot? And so in doing that, I kind of want to ask y'all, like, with the people that's on the ballot, of course, I think it's safe to say that we all plan on voting Biden and Harris, right? And for obvious reasons, right? So that's that part. But now when we and this has been an interesting one. I know y'all been seeing all of the interviews, and of course we're in Georgia, so this is going to be specific to Georgia. But you can take from this what you can if you're watching and you're from other or listening and you're in other states, in cities. But what about this John Ossoff race? Right, you got John Ossoff, you got Shane Hazel, and you got David Perdue, with David Perdue as the Republican incumbent. Right, honestly, all three of them suck. All three of them bad. Period. David Perdue is pro-Trump through and through. John Ossoff has done nothing. He worked with.
He's starting his career. So
It don't matter, but you start your career. You trying to be what, a senator? Are you serious? For real? Like, I mean,
That's
like,
work right there. He lost.
he lost one of the most expensive races, the flip the six race. He lost that joint. He was an intern for for Congressman John Lewis and Hank Johnson or something like that. He was an intern, and now all of a sudden he's here.
I just want that.
And you think I'm gonna want to vote for him?
I just want that confidence. That's all.
The white man's confidence is serious.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You have to understand how that pipeline of John Ossoff got there. He ran in a primary.
He's trash, bro.
Oh wait, all right, go ahead. I'm not gonna down that hill. I'm not gonna down that hill. Go ahead. All I'm gonna say is just that the reason why he's there is because he performed well in a multi-candidate race in the 6th district. Remember when it happened right after Trump? Yeah. So he was the most effective in speaking.
A black woman ended up winning after he lost it.
This is a great point. That's a great point.
A black woman ended up winning after he lost it. Jordan Davis' mom.
Yes.
Lucy McBath.
She went in there.
She won that joint. Shout out to black women.
You're right. Real talk.
Close
Real
up
talk.
on the shirt right
Real
here.
talk.
Shout out to black women.
All of them. All of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I'm saying. So all I'm saying is he won there, but since that was the whole country was watching that race, right? That raised his name ID, and so now he runs in another primary, and because he has a name ID from the last one, that's who people mark down.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean, that's how Lincoln won.
You know, because he performed well with the other candidates there, that's the reason why.
That's what I'm saying. Look, Sean, we need your mic, bro. Like, I'm not like John Ossoff. Like every time I watch the interviews, even before I did my research on dude, I'm just like, he sounds like a robot.
Yeah,
It's not
very
like
smart.
it's right. It's just like this is what I'm going to do. Like it's hard. Like I personally plan on voting third party. I plan on voting
Wait,
for Shane.
hold on. For
Yes.
Who are you voting for?
Shane Hazel.
Yo,
What up, Shane?
I did get my nap
What up,
last time.
Shane?
I gotta take it this time.
His name, my boy named Shane Hazel, libertarian. He's had just as much. He has.
I got one more for you.
Look, actually, you could throw me that bottle of rosé we was drinking on, because that thing was beautiful. I plan on voting for Shane Hazel
Is
because
Is your cup right there? Right there?
Yeah, right there.
No, just go on. Just go on. Help.
Because he's had just as much what you call it experience than John Ossoff.
So,
Y'all can vote Democratic if y'all want to.
John.
Appreciate
Jonathan.
you, bro. Yeah.
Jonathan.
I plan on it. Shane Hazel.
I gotta reach into the Pirates of the Caribbean for this one. Jonathan. Yo, all I'm saying is here's my opinion on voting. Your vote doesn't mean anything if you don't bring someone with you. So that's the challenge. Is why are candidates suck sometimes? Because maybe the people that are voting with you don't have your opinion. So you can't, like, if you want to win, you got to bring someone with you. So right now, all the people that are with us are going to be behind John Ossoff. You can peel off and you can bring people off, but if there's not enough of y'all with to go to that third party, it's just a thrown away vote. Because voting is about building consensus. It's not just about you, I'm expressing myself. You got to bring a community along with you. So you got to start long before. If you want to get that dude, you got to start getting that message out. You got to start telling people about it.
I agree with that part.
So that's important.
I agree with that
But I'm
part.
saying don't be trying to say it now. You're too late. You're too late. It's too late to try to bring somebody with you. Sean, what you got to say?
We got Sean that came from behind the camera now. I knew Sean was gonna come out here. I was just waiting. I was like, Sean.
Come on, Sean.
Bro, you're tripping, bro.
I knew he was gonna come out the camera. I knew it.
Third-party votes will never work in America. It's not built for it, bro. It's not built for it.
Then what's the point of us even having these conversations? What's the point of complaining about Biden, about this, about that, about ooh? What's the point if we just gone, well, we gotta vote either Democrat or Republican? It's like, man, it's like it takes all the power away. And honestly, for me, it disrespects our ancestors. When we don't think and are willing to take risks and go outside. And I do agree with you in that you have to start early because that's what they did with Maynard Jackson. And that's how they got Maynard Jackson in the position he was in. They trained him from in the 60s. They was training him for what he did in 72. So I do agree with y'all on that. But at the same time, it's like everybody's like, yo, we don't like this. We see John Ossoff is trash. We see David Perdue is trash. Do. Well, look, let's do something radical. No, bro, don't do that. We gotta wait and we
Do something radical
it's like,
early.
man.
Do something radical early.
But I promise you, after this, after November 3rd or whenever we vote, something like that, November 3rd, after that, it's gonna be very difficult to do something like that.
Say after November 3rd?
Or whenever we vote. I think it's November 3rd. I don't know.
So
It's gonna be difficult to do that, y'all.
So again, for the record, third party votes don't work in America as our political structure is constructed. It's usually a wasted vote. 99.9% of the time. So the point of us having discussions on challenges with our current selections is a critique. It's really to critique the system that we have, and it's to kind of sharpen and try to make the people better that we have in these positions. Like maybe they will become better through our perspective on their views on things, and we've seen this happen through multiple folks that have just gotten better over the years. It is through this part of our politic that we get better. We make our politicians better, and then we decide, well, next time we won't vote for this kind of people. Next time we'll get someone that is far better. That's literally my 2 cents. I'm about to put this mic down.
Merry Christmas. I mean, that's what Dr. Hader, what you say?
You know, I agree in the sense that I don't think the structures in this country are set up for any sort of progress or equity. It's just not set up for anyone outside of white male interests to win. And so that could mean the third party in this country runs counter to that. I feel like we saw that with Bernie Sanders. You know, with Bernie Sanders, he is definitely like a class first person.
Yeah,
And he's
that's
like,
true.
we gonna get into this socialism where we don't have extreme wealth. We gonna make some of these policies, and that threatens the white male, like land owning class that this country was founded on. You know, so I think anything that threatens that sort of foundation is not like there's just not room for like there's not a clear path.
Why is that though?
I mean, kind of what she said. Like, that's just, I mean, that's the way in which our country's built.
Take it back to church and be like the devil.
Satan, the blonde haired, blue eyed devil.
Oh man! Wow! See, I look at this. I look at everything very I'm very zoomed in on democracy in my standpoint. So the reason why I say that is because everything depends, as the way I see it, everything depends on votes. Even though there's money in the system, the money is there to buy votes, right? It's there to buy votes. So right now, my vote is worth 75%, is 75% less potent than someone in middle America. And if you're Hispanic, your vote is 50% less potent than someone in middle America. This is.
Well,
I'm telling you. I'm just saying.
I did. But last time I took, I ain't took a math class since undergrad.
But y'all get what I'm saying. I'm just saying that because of things like the Electoral College, because of gerrymandering, this just makes my vote less potent, right? So when my vote is less potent, I need more people. I mean, I'm weaker, so I can't take as much. Now, Middle America can take risks. They can put up a candidate like Trump because their vote means more, right? So this is the reason why the Democratic platform right now is the number one thing they're trying to pass is democracy reform. So D.C. gets the state, abolish gerrymandering, Voting Rights Act 100%, like lock that in. And once you have all of these types of things set up, now you have more leverage. Now you can say, okay, we can put someone like, Bernie or Elizabeth is my preference over Bernie.
Yeah,
but
she's my preference.
He's my preference. But now you can put someone like Liz Warren in there because we can muscle her to the finish line. That's that's what they did for Trump. They muscled him. It was just a little bit. It was very razor thin, but they were able to muscle him through because they had the power to do that. Once everything is evened up and everything is fair, because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. We're not looking. Maybe John might disagree with me. We're not necessarily looking to say, oh, we just want to have all the power and take it all to ourselves. We're saying that we want things fair. Once things are fair, you can start saying, okay, there's more than enough people to back a platform like what Elizabeth Warren has. More than enough people. It's just that those people's votes aren't worth as much. So that's the reason why I'm saying that I want Ossoff in the Senate, not because he's going to Not because he's going to come on a chariot and give us all, reparations or something like that, pass out reparations. He's not going to do that. But you know what he's going to give me? He's going to give me a vote on that democratic passage, which over time will give my voice and our voice more power. And so that's the strategic sort of gambit that's in my mind when it comes to voting this election. And that's the reason why I'm like, I don't need John Ossoff to do everything. He doesn't need to do everything. What I need is that voting rights package.
Because democracy's on the ballot.
Because democracy. Let's hear that up.
It's because democracy is literally on the ballot. And I know every election cycle at least.
No, come on.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Every election cycle, there's always this saying, "Oh, this is the most important election,
Right.
and therefore we have to what's the word I'm looking for? It's a simple word. We have to give up something. We have to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, it's actually it's palpable. You can literally see very clearly, and they've been doing it for centuries, but you can literally see it now. Like, if something doesn't change, if we don't step in right now, we're going to pass the point of no return in a very significant way. Handmaid's Tale could turn, it seems extreme, but
Right.
it could be a real thing.
Right.
Like, we're kind of close there, especially with the Supreme Court stuff happening. That lady's nuts. I'm sorry. I'm on live. I can't talk like that. My bad. I'm about to get fired. Watch out.
He can say it. I can say it. That lady's nuts.
That lady's crazy. If y'all been watching these Supreme Court hearings, that lady is, yes. Okay, so.
Costco size bag.
Kirkland's signature.
You're right. No. Y'all are right. And if Trump doesn't win, he went out with a bang by getting her in there. So yeah, he.
Are the Democrats gonna pack the court?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Don't depend on them. We got to depend on us.
Yeah.
We got to start saying that's when you bring the knives out. Is to say, hey, look, this is what we need for the midterms because you're going to need our votes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what King didn't. That's the crazy part. Is King did this with even less voting power than what we have today. But he did all of his work not at the vote. He did some work around the time for voting, but it was in between where he put pressure on the people in power.
That's key.
Yeah.
I want you to hold that because we are going to talk about, because I know we got some things we probably got to wrap up soon. But I know we want to talk about what happens if Trump wins. What is our strategy in preparing for 2022 and 2024, whether he wins or not? What is going to be our strategy as Black people coming up? But before we do that, I wanted to talk about all of the elections, but I don't think we're going to have enough time to do that for the entire ballot. But are we going to? Oh, go ahead.
I strongly encourage anybody in South Carolina to go ahead and vote for Jamie Harrison.
Hey,
Jamie Harrison, my South Kakalaki people.
Yes, sir.
Jamie Harrison.
I mean, I like to be quite fair, I haven't read his policy positions in depth. My support of Jamie Harrison continues to be rooted in my extreme hatred for Lindsey Graham.
Oh,
Wow, hate is a
now
strong word.
that is something.
Whoa.
Hate ain't strong enough. That's why she's Dr. Hater. That's why we call her Dr. Hater.
He's just awful, just the pits.
Yeah. You're right.
I just don't want to, I feel like a lot of my voting this year is I just don't want to see your face anymore.
I dig.
I don't want to hear your voice anymore. I don't want to open my little news app and see anything about you anymore. I just want you to fade.
Yeah.
Facebook block you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fade into obscurity.
Mute.
Absolutely.
Permanently.
So y'all, are we doing Kelly Loeffler? Are we doing Ralph?
What?
Are we doing
Kelly-
Warnock?
Kelly-
Are we doing Warnock? Are we
have
doing
Kelly
Loeffler? Or are we doing like?
Who's worse between Kelly Loeffler and Trump?
Oh, of course I'm not. No, but I mean, are we doing?
Sorry to this man.
Are we doing this? So who we voting for that other Senate seat in Georgia?
Warnock also.
Warnock all the way.
Simple.
Well, for me, it's Warnock Hazel, but Warnock all the way. It's
Guys, don't if you want a good grade on your test, don't answer like that. You'll get 50%.
well, we all agree Warnock. So
Warnock,
if
for
you
sure.
go into the
Definitely
poll,
Warnock.
definitely pulling in Warnock in that
If you
regard.
decide not to vote for Warnock, do not vote for Kelly. Like she's
No.
Oh, she is the
Hell
worst.
no.
She is the worst.
She is
the worst. She is the worst.
She's
That's the
absolute
worst. That's the worst. That's the
You
worst.
talking Amy Cohen Barrett and Kelly Loeffler is like
Oh,
her with
Amy
much
Cohen-
less education.
Wasn't she the one who was caught up in that like Senate scandal not too long ago with like the
Yeah, the insider trading.
Yes.
And she had that thing where she was like trying to kill Dalmatians to make a mink coat.
What?
She was.
What?
She did. Yeah,
Like,
killing.
Wonder-
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Oh my god!
Listen, if that movie took off, people would be lined up
Listen.
All right.
to vote against her.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no.
No.
You can kill Negroes, but don't kill the dogs.
Not the dogs.
Yo, so yeah, we got a couple other things coming up in terms of races. I know there's a DeKalb County Sheriff race. Harold Dennis and Melody Maddox. I personally plan on voting for the Black sister. She's been doing a lot of good work in DeKalb County. It's a couple of other races, but those are the major ones. But I guess if you want to find out who we're voting for and all of us, you could always follow us and we'll put our handles and we'll talk about our handles at the end of this episode. But last thing we want to talk about, because I know we got to wrap up, y'all, what is our plan? Because one thing I do agree with you on what you said, Steve, is that we have to stay politically engaged outside of these election seasons, outside of what everybody's talking about. We have to, I totally agree with you when it comes to creating the politician that you want from the ground up. Molding the people that we want to put them in office so that they can do what we want them to do. That is what it's for. Right, creating these, I've been hearing Ebony K. Williams talk about political PACs and black people, all of us, putting in $20 a month, $50 a month to PACs to now use that to buy politicians, because that's what you just said. It's really about buying these people who's going to push policies and push an agenda that directly affects us. So these are just a couple of things we need to be thinking about in terms of what do we do, regardless of who gets elected, and think if Trump gets elected, what are our strategies in preparation for 2022 when the mayor race comes back up? How we gonna get Keisha Lance Bottoms in office? If we want Keisha Lance Bottoms in office, how we gonna keep Atlanta black? How we gonna keep, you know what I'm saying? You know, well, right. Make
How can we recruit some black people to Atlanta?
as much as we can, the little bit of blackness we got in Atlanta, how we gonna, so what is our strategy on the local level? What is our strategy on the federal level to get our goals accomplished?
Well, I want to hear your thoughts on this, man.
Well, you was gonna say something, then
Listen, my passport is up to date. So
But that's a class thing, though.
It's very
Honestly,
class.
that actually goes back to what you just said.
It is.
Being more.
I feel super conflicted about these class privileges that I have.
Right.
But you know how to build boats. Just build a big enough boat for all of us.
Well, that's what Marcus Garvey tried to do, and we saw that joint sank as soon as it left the New York harbor.
At the bottom of the
Like Garvey with them little $5 investments niggas was doing was not working.
Yeah. But I mean, we can talk about
Black Star Line,
class
shout out.
we can talk about class stuff like at another time. But I think one of the things I think about as far as political engagement, there's building PACs, there's building like different groups. I know I can't remember the name of the group that was behind AOC and a couple.
Oh man, she had a strong street team.
Yeah.
Oh, AOC got a strong street team.
So there's that, but I also think political engagement comes from some of this street action that we've been seeing for the past several years.
Yeah.
When I think back to there were different activists who not only met with politicians from Barack Obama down, but some of the political positions that people whole now are because of the street actions that have been happening.
Right.
I even think back to right in the couple weeks after George Floyd's death. There were communities that were dismantling police departments. There were schools that were immediately severed contact
Sure.
with police. So, when I think of like political engagement post-election, it definitely includes some of the street action that pushes politicians to adopt the positions that we find important.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that's important. I do believe that we need to be, I'm definitely for third party engagement. I do think that we need to start training leaders that we want, seeing leaders that we think are valuable. I think Ralph Warnock is really a good example to some degree in that way. Somebody who comes from, came, of course, from the projects of Savannah and, educated at Morehouse and pastor of Ebenezer. And so really just kind of came up. I don't know if he was like groomed in any way in terms by the black elite or the black middle class or whatever, but
he's in that, like, he's affiliated.
But he's already with.
He's in Ebenezer.
Right. That already got him.
Martin
Yeah,
Luther
King.
Jr., Martin Luther
King Jr.
Warnock.
Yeah,
He's in the lineage.
That's
Right,
true.
right.
That's true. That's very, very true. So they could very well have trained him for that. But then in terms of that, it's got to be like, we need to do that and make sure that they also have the interests of the poor and working class as well when you're talking about these class interests. So these are just a couple things we need to be doing, getting involved, grassroots efforts, training political leaders, and just staying engaged even when it's not, popular, So I know we got to get ready to bounce out. But we appreciate y'all joining us for Street Academy Podcast. It's been a special episode. Thanks so much.
We got to say special thanks to Sean. Now.
Oh yeah, we did that in the beginning, but we're gonna say again, shout out to my man Sean for doing this. For doing this. We want to put his handle up so y'all can reach out to him for work. He's he's not a videographer. He is a genius when it comes to cinematographer, everything. So he does it big. Shout out to my man Steven Adetumbe for allowing us to shoot this and for helping to put this together. What I want to do is I want us to go and just say our handles for people who want to follow us and learn more about us.
Blessings on the Boyd family.
Blessings on the Boyd family. Shout out to them. Shout out to Amber. We love you, and we're gonna keep it rolling. And when you come back, it is, you right here, and we're going to keep it rolling. At J. Paul Grant, you can follow me at JPAULGRANT.
At Jackets Admission, JACEDEMICIAN.
You going to see it.
Jackets Admission, all the things.
Steve O'Here on Instagram, STEVEHERE. I can spell.
Yes.
not as well as you though.
Sean, where can they find you? And then we go.
Sean Michael Craig on all
everywhere.
platforms. Sean Michael Craig. This is see
Hey.
how dope our stream is. How we're on next level from everybody.
Hey,
See,
this is what it is. Street Academy.
Michael Craig.
Street Academy Podcast, where we keep one foot in the academy, one foot in the street. All hearts and minds clear.